Welcome to The Magnetic Voice, here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel, a show where speakers and singers learn how to be more magnetic and align their voices to the divine within. Today, episode 42, Baseball and Your Voice. And now your host, Monique McDonald.
Hello and welcome to the Magnetic Voice podcast. My name is Monique McDonald and I am here with Shannon Kropf. Hey,
Hi,
Shannon.
everybody. Hi, Monique. Great to be with you here today, this lovely spring May day.
Yes, and I know that the title of this podcast is pretty funny. Baseball and Your Voice. So what do baseball and your voice have in common?
Well, we're going to find out.
We are going to find out. Hopefully, I'll wrap it all up and you'll be able to see exactly what they have in common by the end of this podcast. So, as we know, I have to tell you, I am not a huge jock or sports fan.
No.
I mean, I know it's surprising. But when I was living in Europe, baseball meant home, which is, it's so American and so apple pie. Yeah. I would actually, when I would see it on the sports channels, when I was traveling Europe, I would actually watch baseball.
Yeah.
And it helped with my homesickness.
That's cool.
So, and of course, last April was the beginning of baseball season. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about this idea of knowing what arena you're in.
Interesting.
So as a singer training, we were always sort of puzzled by the master class.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Because at Juilliard, it was a full house.
Right.
But you were having a lesson with a master.
Right.
So you're kind of airing all your dirty laundry and all the stuff you would only do behind closed doors, right? In a lesson.
Yes.
But you have an Juilliard, 100 or to 300 of your closest friends watching all of this happen. So it was really tricky to figure out, okay, when am I the student taking instruction? When am I the performer giving a show? And how do I keep my balance through all of it?
Right.
And it was always tricky. It was one of the hardest things to do because, of course, you wanted to be in master classes. I was so lucky. The two major master classes that I got to sing in, my first public master class was with the great Leontyne Price, one of the greatest African-American opera singers of our time. And that was
pressure.
No pressure, right? That's a whole other story that maybe I'll go into in another podcast. But it was as scary as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Because it was standing room only because they wanted to see Mama, right?
Right.
The Leontyne Price. And the second one was the first and last public master class that James Levine, the music director of the Metropolitan Opera, ever gave.
Oh, wow.
It was his first one and he hated it. So he never did it again.
He did not enjoy it then. That's not a good outcome.
But again, it was standing room only and it was terrifying. And I'd be walking, preparing in the halls of Juilliard and people would stop me and say, especially for Mr. Levine, if you don't do well, that's the end of your career. You're all done.
God.
Talk about no pressure, right?
Right. Oh my
God. So that was especially tricky to know what arena I was in, because it felt like an audition.
Yes.
On top of a masterclass.
Yes.
And an audience was there. So it was like performance.
A performance. Oh, that's so horrifying.
It was really tricky. And I started to think about this, and don't worry, y'all. I'm going to bring it back to baseball. I know. You're like, what does this have to do with baseball? All right. I'm about to bring it around.
All right. Bring it home.
So one of my business mentors, Jackie Simmons, talks about the baseball park theory.
Interesting. What is that?
And she says that life is a bunch of ballparks.
Okay.
And we are either the ballpark owner or the ball player.
Okay.
So she tells this story about a rookie who has gotten himself on the team of the Atlanta Braves.
Nice.
And it's his first meeting with the ballpark owner. And he's sitting in his office and he's so excited. He can barely think straight. And he's just like, can barely breathe. He can't believe where he is and how his life has brought him to this moment of living his dream. And he's going to get to do what he's always wanted to do, which is play ball, make money, and have fun.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And in theory, isn't that what we all want to do?
It is. I was just thinking, that's
exactly
what I want.
Right? We want to play the game of life, right? Make money.
Yes.
And have fun.
Yeah.
So he's in the baseball park owner's office, and he's just beside himself with excitement. And the baseball park owner, you know, the guy's shaking his hand off. He's like, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And so he finally settles him down, has him sit down at the desk, and hands him some papers that are the rules of the ballpark. And if you are going to be playing in my ballpark, here are the rules. So the baseball player settles down and starts reading the rules, and little by little, the smile is fading.
Oh, no.
And that crease in the middle of his forehead is furrowing.
Oh, no.
And the ballpark owner says, okay, so you have 3 options. I can see that there's some things that you're reading that you may not agree with or that may be disturbing you. So here are your 3 options. You can accept the rules of the ballpark without conflict, without arguing. Because, as you've told me a million times today, you're so excited to be here, and all you've ever wanted to do is play ball, make money, and have fun. That's option number 1. Just accept the rules. Option number 2 is to argue with the rules. Try to negotiate for different rules.
Right.
Creating conflict.
Yes.
And probably a bit of suffering because the rules are the rules.
Right.
And it's my ballpark.
Right. This is not your ballpark.
So instead of playing ball, making money, and having fun, you will be able to play ball, but you'll probably have to pay some fines because you're not following the rules, and it'll be struggle, not fun.
Right.
And the third option is to leave.
Oof.
Get out of the ballpark.
This is
now here. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah, it's actually so true.
It's so true. Now, the club owner, even though in our story here, it seems like he's the king and he's got all, all the power, all the leverage. But remember, if you're the club owner, you have a lot of responsibilities.
Right.
And one of the hardest things for those of us who are club owners, ballpark owners, is when the ball player decides to get out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Don't we feel like we did something wrong? Or if we had been better club owners, they would stay.
Or if we had just nudged the rules just a little bit, just this one thing.
Exactly. But we have to be able to let them go and know that the right and perfect ball players for our particular ballpark will show up.
Yeah.
So, what are the responsibilities of the club owner? You have to create the rules and put them in writing. And most of us are creating rules all the time in our relationships, in our business, in life in general, without letting anybody know what our rules are. And then having the nerve to get upset
when somebody breaks my rules.
Exactly. Right?
Absolutely.
So you've got to create the rules and put them in writing. Put them somewhere that people can see it and be able to communicate your rules clearly. Now, this is another big challenge for a lot of us because we're uncomfortable that we need rules, I think.
Right.
We should be easygoing. We all know those difficult people that live by the rules all the time when we want to be rebels and not have rules. And yet, what causes us the most pain most of the time in our lives is when somebody has hurt us because they didn't know what the rules were.
Yeah.
And the other piece of the responsibility, which I found most interesting when I was learning about this, was to apply the rules equitably, but not equally.
Okay. I see what you're saying, but
right?
Could you elaborate just a little on that?
Absolutely. Because, for example, in using our ballpark example, can you believe it? So we are going to expect different things from the bat boy than we do from the ball player.
Okay.
Right? The bat boy is the one that carries the bats and the balls. And so how they are going to apply the rules might be different. And they might need different rules. Or we might not have as many rules. So, for example, we have different expectations of a toddler than we do of a teenager. Right? The rules change according to who. But if you have siblings, if you have two children, and this is where it always shows up. That's not fair.
Right.
Because they are different individuals and you can't apply the same rules to the different individual people. So, as far as our voices are concerned, when we speak up, how we speak up, when it's a good idea to just shut up and play.
Sometimes you just shut up and smack the ball, man.
Right? And I think that also for me, and going back to this, this Juilliard experience that I had with the master classes, what I realized was that I was never asking myself, what did I need?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
in those situations. I was thinking about what the audience needed, what the teacher needed, what are they thinking about? I was thinking about everything else.
Yep.
But what did I need?
Right.
So now we have to talk about, okay, whose ballpark am I in? Now, Shannon, I got to tell you, my best friends have children who are 7 and 9. And I took them out for their birthdays, which are both in April, separately. So I had a date with each of the kids. Speaking of equitable, right?
Of course, yeah.
But equal. And we did very different things because they're very different. One's a boy, one's a girl, very different things. And with the girl, I was explaining this ballpark theory. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, so if you're in your room and friends come over, whose ballpark is it? And she said, it's mine. But when you're home with mommy and daddy, whose ballpark is it?
It's their ballpark.
It's their ballpark. And she put her hands on her hip and she said, Auntie Sneaky, that's what she calls me, Auntie Sneaky. I think some people tried to explain this to me a long time ago. She's 9. A long time ago, but they didn't explain it like that. I really understand that.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, how our lives would be different if we really got that at such a young age.
Right.
So many of us are suffering. I mean, really, really suffering because we want to be the ballpark owner. We want to be the club owner.
Right.
And we are a player.
Yeah.
But all we have to do is change ballparks. And sometimes we have to leave.
Yeah.
And create our own ballpark. That's right. That's what you're doing, aren't you?
Monique and I can see each other through the magic of the interwebs. And I'm like over here pointing at myself. Yes, Monique, this is very topical. Thank you very much. But you're right, and my white stone word for 2021 was voice. And I didn't at first know what it meant. And by the end of the year, I knew it meant me saying, these are my rules. It's your ballpark. I'm not compatible with your rules. Here's my rules. This is not matching up. Bye. And now I'm in my own ballpark. And it's great. And we're having tons of fun. And, it's a totally different thing. And, I used to, when I was out in Memphis teaching worship leadership, I was always eager to play in the bands of my student worship leaders because I could kind of mentor and suggest very gently, in the midst of a rehearsal. But I never walked in and like, hey, this is my ballpark. It's your,
That's right.
And people were always amazed that I could just follow, because not everybody can do that, I guess. But I was like, well, it's just a matter of what role we're each in. I'm not the leader right now.
That's it. That is key. And so to know when it's your time to speak, when it's when you realize that your voice or your way of being in the world and expressing yourself is not compatible with the ballpark that you're in.
Right.
Or if it is, but because you're so concerned with not being the club owner, you argue with whoever is the club owner all the time so that you feel that your voice is heard.
Yeah.
When you might have a happier life if you just
go to the next ballpark.
Or,
and
or let the ballpark owner be in charge. Because you want to play ball, make money, and have fun.
Right.
And let it be okay. And stop arguing.
Right.
and that you do have those options.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think the most difficult is when you've been a player in a ballpark for a long time and feel very comfortable there and love the rules and everything's cool. And then the ownership changes hands. And now suddenly nobody told you that there was new rules. And suddenly your life is full of angst and turmoil because you don't know that there are new rules. And if you did know, you probably wouldn't agree with them. And so that becomes a situation where, okay, these rules are incompatible. It's time to move on.
That's it.
Which unlocks, like we were talking last week, this ebb and flow of, last podcast, of ebb and flow and knowing when to move and when to stay and all of that. So it's all related.
That's right. Absolutely. So to our dear listeners out there, I just want you to just take a look. Whose ballpark are you in? Are you suffering today because you didn't realize you're a player rather than an owner?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you an owner that forgot to communicate your rules clearly and are constantly being disappointed by people? So if you've always wanted to achieve authentic leadership and attract the life of your dreams and want to talk more about ball parks and voices.
You brought it right back around. You said you were, and you did.
I did. But you don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walk you every step of the way. Please come visit us at themagneticvoice.com. Then click on Transform with Monique. And let's talk and see if one of our programs is a good match for you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about your voice and whose ballpark are you in. Shall we go on a meditation?
We shall go on a meditation safari. Here we go.
Here we go. All right. Let's release and let go of anything that has come before this now moment. We have the opportunity here to go within. So I'm going to invite you to allow your breath into your body, inhaling into the deepest part of you, and gently exhaling, watching your stomach fall back towards the spine. And as we inhale again, allowing our stomach to move, we are activating the diaphragm as we breathe in and out. And that sends the message to our mind and our body that we are safe. The minute we choose to close our eyes and belly breathe, we bring ourselves to the safest space we can be in. That space within us where all is well. So as we breathe and know, as we breathe and allow, as we breathe, we are letting go of disappointment, letting go of suffering, letting go of the ideas of not realizing whose ballpark we are playing in. Knowing that we are the player and the club owner. That we are truly aligned with the greatest club owner in the world, that divine spirit within. And we know the rules. All we have to do is remember who we are and whose we are. Play. Make money. Exchange that energy that we call money that causes so much worry. Just play and know that we can have fun and play and be a part of this game of life. That we always check in with the club owner. We always know what the rules are. And if we have any question, we know how to use our voice and ask, what are the rules? Every relationship, every encounter we have with our fellow human beings on this journey, we have these moments of checking in with each other. When is it time to just be quiet and play ball? When is it time to leave? To gently say goodbye and move into your own ballpark and make your own rules. When is it time to allow people to move out of our lives and bless them on their way without defining ourselves? Because we are always changing and growing. And as we change and grow, those around us do too. We are all moving into our own understanding of life, developing and growing, constantly moving between the human, who's the ball player, and the divine, who's the club owner. We are moving back and forth. And it is our divine right to always know where we are, and that it is always exactly where we are meant to be. We are in the right place, doing exactly what is ours to do, because we are divinely guided forever and always. And for this and so much more, we say thank you for the knowledge and understanding of who we are and whose we are. We are eternally grateful. And so it is, and we let it be.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Magnetic Voice here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Magnetic Voice is copyright 2022 Monique McDonald, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Kropf and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.